Hey there, beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. I hope that you guys are doing good. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Y'all, I'm out of breath because I've just been moving. Like, I literally came from the bathroom to over by my desk, getting my drinks, getting my water, all that stuff. But I'm here to give you guys a life update just to catch y'all up on what's been going on. With that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into the update. To start off, I have notes, so let me just, first thing that I wanted to do, I guess, was kind of recap the wedding. So if you guys are new and you do not know, but yeah, your girl just recently got married. I got married on November 6th. Got married in Salt Lake City, Utah. A lot of people started asking why we ended up switching the wedding from Vegas. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go back and check any of my past videos. If you guys want to see the proposal video, if you want to see our quarantine proposal, if you want to see like wedding update videos. I should make a wedding playlist to dump all that stuff in, but I'll link a few of the videos up in the cards above so you guys can definitely check those out. But a lot of people started asking why we switched our wedding from Vegas to Utah. And there were so many factors that played into this. I honestly could sit here all day and we could talk about how we weighed the pros and cons. So if you guys do not, well, if you haven't watched any of those videos or any of my past vlogs, you would not know this, but pretty much we planned our wedding like down to a T to be in Vegas. We were having our wedding at the Aria, which is a hotel in Las Vegas on the Strip. If I'm not mistaken, it's a part of MGM. And that's where we were having our wedding. And it started out as a small wedding. It was about 40 people because at the time we got engaged, we were in the very much so thick of COVID. It was bad. When we first got engaged, that's when we were all like, no Christmas, no Thanksgiving, Zoom birthday parties, things like that. We decided to have our wedding in Vegas because we were from two different places, and we were like, we want our families to all they all should have to travel to one set location. Like, I didn't want to get married in Mississippi, where my husband is from, and he did not want to get married in Chicago. Pretty sure there's nothing wrong with getting married there. That's just not what we wanted. We didn't want to like have a this or that. We wanted everybody to have to travel to one place. Or those who were willing to travel to one place. And so we were like, Vegas, it's fun. These people have never met each other. Our parents and our families, we'd been together for almost over 5 years, and it's crazy that our families had never met each other. They talked on the phone, but they've never like physically met each other. We wanted to find a neutral location that was fun. Like, if the guys wanted to hang out, they had a place to go. There was no questioning. Like, we just wanted a really nice place, a fun place to go to. We already knew we didn't want any kids. We literally didn't want any kids in our wedding. We didn't want any kids there. I feel like when kids are involved in weddings, unless it's like that super family oriented wedding, which our wedding was definitely family oriented. That's who was there. We just wanted everybody to like let loose, like, you know, yeah, it's just a personal preference. So, and things started to loosen up. You know what happened? We started traveling a little bit more, you know, we got these little shots and stuff, these vaccines and whatnot. And things started to look like they were, you know, they were still, but they were on the up and up. And so around February, March-ish, I would say, Jamal and I made the executive decision. We were like, you know what, we're gonna open up the wedding because we still, like, you could only imagine that 40 people was like the immediate of the family. Our parents, mother, father, siblings, that right there is like 20 something people plus us. So you could only imagine like how that process was going. And we were like, dang, but my first cousin, like me and my first cousin, we tight, okay? So we were like, okay, we're gonna open up the wedding. And we found an amazing reception like place. It was a ballroom. Because the Aria was, I'm not gonna lie, it was extremely expensive. I can tell y'all this now in hindsight, we did way better in Utah, got way more for our buck than we would have in Las Vegas. Having a wedding in Vegas is extremely expensive. For like 40 people, we were gonna pay close to $15,000. Shoot me. I know, we were gonna try to make it work and just make it this really elegant experience, and in hindsight that was not the smartest thing, and I'm glad that God quickly like flipped the switch on like 40 people. So we found this amazing ballroom, and for that exact same price we could have up to 150 people, and we were like, cool, let's do it. So the numbers started to grow. They got crazy. They got up there. At one point, I think like our final number was like at 130 something. Like that's where we had ended up capping. That's who had RSVP'd. We were ready to go. And then one day we were sitting down watching the news, which we don't do. Jamal and I are very much so like, let me just see what's going on. Let me use my phone, check whatever website, see what's going on. But I don't really want to watch the news. It affects us mentally. We are affected. We are people who are affected by the news. We want to know the updates, but we don't want to sit there and just watch, you know, this 90 minutes of news. I just can't. Here visiting, you guys know that I did not live here permanently. I would just come every other week here. And I was watching the news, and I was also still working my corporate job at the time. And so I was on Zoom one day, and one of the young ladies was on there talking about how her grandmother had COVID and it was really bad. And then her aunt ended up getting it, taking care of her grandmother, and then her mother ended up getting it, and then she ended up getting it. And I was literally watching somebody's life like unfold right there on Zoom over the course of 7 days. This happened over 7 days. And then after that, we didn't see her on Zoom calls. She was like sick. So that kind of affected me. We knew so many people in our sort of like circle, family circle, sorry y'all, our family circle that were kind of affected. And it was just like it started to mess with my mind, because it was like we were at this steady, like, you know, as long as everybody is doing X, Y, and Z, it was like a mind game at one point. And, you know, we were much so being faithful, much so staying like, you know, praying and just asking God daily, like just whatever the wedding is supposed to be, we ask that you put your hands in and do whatever you need to do to have it be and represent what it's supposed to be. Our biggest thing was Jamal and I had never really celebrated us as a couple before, and our families had never met, and our families had been through so much individually. Oh my gosh, last year, y'all, was like one of the hardest years for our families. The last 2 years, extremely hard. Losses, sickness, death. Like, honestly, there's nobody but the grace of God that we are still here right now. And it is absolutely insane that we are even sitting here in this space. I can't even begin to tell you how many things happened. So much happened over the last 2 years within our families. And so we were like, we need a celebration. And so that's how the 40 people really started. We were like, if it's nothing but the 40 people who have been in the trenches, who we, you know, have gone through these last 2 years with that have been so hard, our family needs a celebration. And our love is celebration. Our union is celebration, and it should be celebrated with those intimate people. And I was just watching all these numbers, and the cities and the states were scrolling, and the numbers and the percentages and these charts were just like, I was like, wait a minute. I literally like broke down. I was like, just cancel the wedding. Because at this point, nobody is safe. And I don't want anybody calling me, telling me like the next day, you know, I'm sick or whatever. Like, this is not working. Then I started looking at Vegas's numbers. It wasn't working. We were very much so concerned about people's safety. We wanted this huge, extravagant, like smoke in the air, birds flying across the ceiling. Like, that's what we were planning. Y'all know, crystals falling out the sky. And it just was not like, it was becoming everything opposite. It was, number one, it was becoming unsafe. Number two, it was becoming a show. And Jamal and I sat down. He came home that same day, and he just was kind of like in a mood. And I started asking him what was wrong. I was leaving the next day to go back to Chicago, and he was asking me like, what is wrong or whatever. And I was asking him what is wrong, and he started just telling me he felt weird, like something wasn't right. He couldn't really explain it, but it was in regards to the wedding. And I started getting worried. I'm like, you don't want to marry me? He was like, no, it has to do with everyone's safety. And I was like, yo, earlier, I literally had a whole little panic attack over here because, you know, such and such happened at work. And then I watched YouTube news or whatever, the update, and I was watching stuff, and we were just like, So for a week or so, we didn't say anything. We waited until The following week, actually toward the middle end of the summer. Then it was like 3 months before our actual wedding, 2.5 to 3 months before our actual wedding, that we decided to switch. So we pretty much planned an entire wedding in 7 months, and then within 3 months, we decided to switch our wedding and basically planned an entirely new wedding in 2 months. So my uncle, who has been my pastor my entire life, he ended up moving to Utah with his church, or with a new church. And so he was marrying us anyway. I was like, I could not have anybody else marry us but my uncle, who's been, you know, that's my uncle, that's my pastor, my uncle, the whole 9 yards. So I was like, I couldn't have anybody else marry us. So he was already marrying us in Vegas. So we were like, we just gonna go with a pastor in the church is. We gonna make this easy on ourselves. And so we just, literally within like 10 days, everybody knew. We ended up inviting half our guest list, which we apologize for. However, at the time, like I said, the numbers were absolutely insane. And we went back down to a more moderate number. Now granted, it did end up being like 80 people, but 80 versus, at the time, we actually hit like the 140 mark. So we went from 140 to 80 people, and I think exactly like 78 people were at our wedding. We ended up moving our wedding to Utah, and I do not think for 1 second that if we would have been in Vegas, we would have gotten the most amazing experience that we had. Our wedding was absolutely perfection. It was still very elegant. It was everything I could have ever dreamed for. Everything was amazing. The food was amazing. The DJ was absolute perfection. Our photographer was amazing. We literally have like 1,500 beautiful pictures that I could have, you know, that are absolutely, every single one of them is amazing. We keep going through them, the videos. Our wedding was pure perfection, and it was surrounded by all the people who needed to be there, all the people we wanted there. And the truth of the matter is, you know, I highly suggest being very selective with your guest list. We already said we're gonna renew our vows at 10 years, and the group will probably be just the same, if not smaller. I don't know, it was perfect. I can't really explain it, but our wedding was absolute perfection. So yeah, I get that question a lot. That was a very long answer. I'm gonna try to update you guys on everything else quickly, but if you wanted to know why we ended up switching our wedding from Vegas to Utah, that's exactly why. The process was seamless, nothing but God's grace all weekend long. Like, y'all, we ended up losing our wedding license the day before the wedding. It was very much so given blockbuster film. Like, where was Tyler Perry to write this one? We ended up losing our license. Of course, we just had all the craziness. My friends and I, my sister-in-laws, the bachelorette party was amazing. Everything was just perfect. So very much so grateful for that. We had an amazing time, and that was that. And the week before the wedding, here's the next update. The week before the wedding, Jamal we had been praying and fasting so much. He has wanted to leave this position at his job. He was actually in a trainee program for a year and a half. I think it was like 18 months, and his program was ending, and it was time for him to start applying for new jobs. And this was like back in October, I think, the beginning of October. So he started applying, he started getting interviews, and some of the states were just not it. I should give you a quick background. When Jamal and I first started like getting serious about getting married and stuff like that, I say like my junior year of college, senior year of college, we would always say, if we could have ever moved anywhere, once we graduated and got married, we would definitely move to Seattle, or we would move to someplace in Texas. Seattle was one, North Carolina was one, Georgia, Texas, like those were our places that we would move. Never in a million years did we think we would end up in Iowa for a little bit. I was glad that Jamal moved to Iowa because he was definitely closer than being in Mississippi. And at the time I was still living with my parents, but long story short, Jamal ended up getting a job the week before the wedding. Actually, like 4 days before the wedding, he ended up getting a job in Seattle, Washington. It's actually in Tacoma, but after visiting, it's very much so giving Chicago vibes. Like, you can be in Seattle here, and then you go get on the expressway, and like within 7-10 minutes, you're in Tacoma. So his job is in Tacoma, but we're in the Seattle-Tacoma area. They actually call it Seattle-Tacoma. So yeah, we're moving to Seattle in less than 2.5 weeks, and we're extremely excited. I know it don't look like it, but the good thing is because his job is relocating him they're so amazing. They're having some people come in to pack up the stuff. We just have to be here to like delegate. So that's happening in a couple days, and I'm excited about that because never in a million years did I think I was gonna be moving in and then moving out. But let me tell you something. I truly believe, okay, 110% that we manifested this move. And I'm gonna tell you why. We got engaged and Jamal got the notice like 6 or 7 months before the program ended that he was in for his job. They were kind of like, you know, you have 7 months left, just start thinking about where you want to go, and it'll be like November, between November and January when you will have to move. And I kept telling Jamal, I was like, let me tell you what's gonna happen. We're gonna get married, and then like 2 weeks later we're gonna move. And he kept saying, babe, that's crazy. And I would write it down because I wanted it to happen. I did not plan for us to stay here. We did not want to stay in Iowa. No offense, but we just haven't had the best experience here. And I'll leave it at that. And I was like, you're gonna get the job that you set out for. You're gonna get a job. It's either gonna be in Texas. At the time he was looking at Texas, he was looking at stuff in Georgia, he was looking at stuff in Washington, different parts of Washington, and someplace else, I can't think. But anyway, I was like, we're gonna get married, and I can guarantee you 2 weeks later, we're going to move. And I started writing this down. I would text it to him, I would write it down. It's in all of my like journal, manifesting notebooks, all of my prayer journals. It's on a card. I have a little box where I write every like goal, every prayer, every manifestation that I want to see fulfilled. I put it in the box, and it's in that box like 5 or 6 times on a card. I just cut Post-it cards in half, and I put them inside the box. And I kept telling him, I was like, that's gonna happen. I was like, there's no other way. I was like, we cannot stay in Iowa. We're not having a good experience. You're going through things at work with people. I'm going through things with people at my job. I ended up having to leave my job because my mental health was shot. I don't know if you guys, like, there was a time period where I was not really filming or recording. I was not really doing well in my business. And it was because I was literally dealing with so many things at work. I don't think I've ever talked to you guys about me having to leave my job, but I left my job in July and my mental health was shot. There was one experience that tipped me over, and it was a very negative experience. And yeah, so it tipped me over. I was like, we have to move because number one, if I'm gonna get another job, I've always said in my mind that I wanted to be a stay-at-home wife. That's just always been kind of my desire. I've been saying that since I was in high school. My parents have known that about me since I was in about 8th grade. Okay, I'm just being honest. But I didn't just want to be a stay-at-home wife. I wanted to own my own businesses and, like, you know, not that being a stay-at-home wife is not a job. Honey, it's a job, because the days that I don't do no work and I'm doing housework, clearly it's a job, okay? It's not even a 9 to 5. It's 24 hours, 48 hours, the whole shebang. So shout out to all the stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home wives, work from home wives, all that stuff. So I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home wife, work from home wife. And so I started trying to see what that would feel like in July. And then I got to the idea, I was like, if I get another job, you know, I don't want to get a job in Iowa, and I'm definitely not getting another job in Chicago because we're not staying here. What am I settling down for here? And we're not staying here. And I just kept telling Jamal that, and he was like, babe, if we have to stay for however many months, I'm like, no. You, number one, you have already been proven to be amazing in your company. We are leaving. We have to get out of here. There is nothing here for us. We need to go to someplace that's going to thrive and help you to thrive. He had goals within his job. He wanted to move up to different senior levels. I was like, in Iowa, it's not gonna happen. I'm just being honest with you. They don't look at you that way. And we just had this heart-to-heart conversation. And I was like, Jamal, we are moving. Let's get in our minds now. We started looking at the houses. We started looking at different places with schools. We started looking at different places with, he wants a master's degrees, the whole 9 yards. I was like, we're not staying here. And I refuse to allow us to stay here. We even started looking at like, he brought up the idea. He was like, if we stay here, let's just start looking at what the 2 and 3 bedroom apartments look like here. Cause you guys know at one point Jamal was by himself here. So that's why we have, you know, the 1 bedroom. So he was like, let's start looking at like what the 2 and 3 apartments, 3 bedroom apartments look like. And I was like, we could look, we put our name on the list, but we ain't staying here. So they even sent us an email recently telling us that we were like up next on the wait list. I'm like, no, we're not staying. So yeah, he ended up getting the job. We're in Seattle the week before last. Yeah, we were just in Seattle, so we went in a week's time. He went to his job, set up stuff, met his boss, met his team, employees and all that stuff. And then we found an apartment, which we're excited about. We definitely knew that we wanted to get like an apartment for at least 6 to 10 months because we know nothing. We were literally there the entire time, like what? We were lost. We were able to take him to his base and see, you know, if you don't know, he's in the Army, so we got a chance to see the base and went to the commissary and all that stuff. So nobody but God, literally. The entire time we were there, we were just like, every moment we took, it was just like, thank you, God, because honestly, we don't even know how we got the apartment. We don't even know how any of it was set up. It wasn't for us to know, it just happened. And so I'm so grateful. Nobody but God, like literally nobody but God. I cannot say that any of this happened with us and our intentions and our plans and all that stuff. It did not, because we had no plan when we got there. We didn't even know what was gonna happen. So I'm very much so grateful. I was determined, I wrote it down, that we were going to leave Seattle with an apartment, and we left Seattle with an apartment. So grateful. So we're moving, we're excited. It's a new time, it's a new adventure. I'm excited to get there and like really deem myself like the Seattle content creator, which takes me into, I guess, like my next update was like, what am I doing with my career? Where is the Luxe Boss? What happened? Where you guys know that I recently changed my channel name, and I mentioned in a vlog, I mentioned in that video that I would always keep my channel the Luxe Boss because it was what I had built. Or that I would keep the name of the channel the Luxe Boss because it was what I had built at the time, and it was all based off of like my journey through entrepreneurship in my first year, and that's pretty much what it had become. And just me sharing like the advice and tips and things like that I got over the time of being in my business, right? You guys know at the time I was kind of like a beauty-based, accessory-based business. I was 21 years old when I started documenting that journey, or 22 years old, getting ready to turn 22 years old when I started documenting that journey. So it was very new, very interesting for me. So yeah, I always deemed myself to be like, I was gonna be the Luxe Boss. And then one day I had a heart-to-heart with my husband, and we were talking, and I could tell that he was getting frustrated with me because I was on my whole little rant like, oh, what am I doing with my life? And I want to do X, Y, and Z, and I want to do this, but why can't I fulfill this? And he yelled at me, y'all. We weren't even married at this time. This was like right before the wedding. And he was like, okay, first of all, the reason you probably can't fulfill nothing is because who are you? And I just looked at him like, what you mean, who am I? Y'all know how we get. I was like, what you mean, who am I? He was like, who are you? He was like, do you really like, you like all these things, but what about them do you like? What about them is you? And how are you making them you? Like, you've deemed your, like, he was like, first of all, you're not like some character, you know what I'm saying? And he broke all this stuff down to me, and it was like a matter of 10 minutes, I was like, I am Taylor Vaughn? And he was like, okay, go find her. Figure out how these things you like relate to her. And then light bulbs just start going off. I don't know how God be using my husband. Let me tell you something. That's why I love him. Because God be using him. He real prophetic, to be honest with y'all. Using him to tell him a lot of stuff that I need to hear. I think that he uses him quite often to get through to me, because sometimes my ears are, but yeah. So he literally, like, light bulbs start going off, and I was like, okay. And so I would journal every day, and in the journaling, like, I would kind of just write down, I started to write down how I wanted my life to look. I started to write down the type of woman that I wanted to become. I'm still working on her. She ain't in full effect yet, so do not look for her. But I started working on writing down the type of woman that I wanted to become, how I wanted to be perceived, how I wanted to be seen, what I wanted to look like from head to toe, how I wanted to act, how I wanted to speak, what I wanted my jobs and careers to look like, what I wanted my business to look like, my family life to look like, my home to look like, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with God, how I wanted to be physically, how I wanted to be, like, I started writing down every single day all of these things. And this happened for a couple of days, and then at the end, well, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, okay, this is me. And this is who I want to be. Now I need to figure out how the things that I like are related to this person. And so during that whole process, the whole time I kept battling back and forth with, how do I squeeze the Luxe Boss into this? Because the Luxe Boss had literally become this documentation of my entrepreneurship journey. And I was like, my entrepreneurship journey looks so different now. I'm even planning a rebrand, planning pretty much breaking down and starting over and planning an entirely new business structure. I'm now like trying to help and teach people. And I was like, okay, well, the help and teach people, it kind of sticks there. But everything else is completely different. Like even in that, it's different. Like I'm documenting differently. I look different, things look different. This should not be the same. And you guys know that I've talked about this before, but I've had a really hard time with feeling like an adult. I've had a really hard time with feeling like a grown-up. Even now to this day, like when I talk to people, I have to catch myself really quick because it's like, girl, you talking like you know, like you're scared of them, like you're grown. Like there's no reason for you to hide behind 16-year-old Taylor and all the trauma from whatever growing up. There's no reason for you to hide behind her anymore. Like she did what she did, she was who she was. You have moved past that, you're grown, you are growing, and you have to realize that and you have to connect with that. If you don't, you will constantly live as you are 15, 16 years old. And it started to affect a lot of areas. It started to affect my relationship. Like I felt like at some points I was like 15 years old and I'm like, but you're not. You're 24, going on 25. You're about to be married. Like you need to start, like it affected me in my workplace. It was affecting me a lot. People would make jokes and be like, oh, little girl this and little girl that, and it would affect me so much. So I had to get out of that mindset and really just work on who I wanted to be and who I wanted to be seen as. And you know, who's to say? My channel name could change again in 10 years from now, but who I am right now is really trying to figure out and find out and go on yet another journey of becoming Taylor Vaughn. That's it. We have kind of shifted this channel into more lifestyle content. However, I will be doing like little series here and there in relation to entrepreneurship, and of course still my behind the scenes, because I want to document this time again, rebranding this business and kind of starting over from scratch. I literally broke everything down and we're starting over from scratch. Everything that I've ever learned, everything that I've ever, you know, helped with, we're starting over from scratch. So I'm excited because Seven Skin is taking on an entirely new face. And I think it's a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more current to what my personality is right now. I'm definitely noticing that I suppressed a lot of things out of fear of other people's thoughts. One of them being like how I physically appeared. And I told you guys that that process really started when I did that first big closet clean out. Y'all, I got rid of like 80% of my clothes right before the winter hit, right before I actually moved. And it was the most freeing thing that I could have ever done, because it forced me to start dressing and representing myself exactly how I wanted to. And I've always been like a neutral tones girl. I've always been like the type of person who loves like a good classic look, like blazer me down. I used to wear blazers in high school and people would be like, where are you going? And like those comments affected me over time, but it was just me. And I actually enjoy, now that I'm, you know, discovering it more, I actually enjoy kind of edgy stuff. Like I'm actually very much so into like outfits and just really, I can't explain it. Y'all gonna have to see over time. More fashion hauls coming soon, because why not? Anyway, so yeah, I'm rediscovering that, and that's interesting, and I want to share that. So you'll see more of that here on this channel. Lifestyle content, life looks differently. Jamal and I were talking the other day and we were like, life is probably gonna look even more different in 2 or 3 years versus now, you know? Like, why not try to document that and just do what you've been doing as far as like really putting forth the effort to capture moments of life, because you got a chance now to look back at 2 years ago. So just imagine what it'll look like in 3 years. So more lifestyle content. I feel like I'm getting back into the beauty aspect of things. I had an experience in my corporate job that shot the way that I saw beauty. At one time, I put this thought in my head. I was like, I am gonna be a minimalist. I'm gonna be a minimalist natural. I'm gonna be minimalist in my makeup. But deep down inside, like the prissy in me, she was very much so upset. I became this minimalist with everything. And I was like, whatever I can do to be understated. I also wasn't confident, so whatever I can do to be understated, Whatever I can do to not stand out on a daily basis is what I will do. Whatever I can do to blend into the background, I literally wanted to blend into the wall. Whatever I could do to do that, that's what I did, because I didn't want anyone to point out anything that I was not confident in. I was not confident in my hair, I was not confident in my skin, I was not confident in, you know, boldly wearing what I wanted to wear and show up as how I wanted to show up. I think towards the end, people saw that, and it made it even more uncomfortable, because now you see that I'm trying to like tone myself down. And I was toning down all the parts of me that made me amazing to myself and to the world. Deep, deep down inside, I have always been this beauty, fashion obsessed person who loves, like, you know, journaling and loves, you know, wind chimes. Like, I can't really explain it, but I've always been that type of person. And I always felt like I was judged for it, because I never really like fit into the certain groups that I was in, and I would always kind of like downplay it. There was a small moment in college where I felt normal and it felt okay, and then it quickly didn't anymore. And then I just felt like I shouldn't even be trying. Like, why am I even trying? Whatever I can do to mute myself and cover myself up, I will do it. Like I said, lifestyle content, beauty content. And you know, I had a friend tell me one time, you know, like the beauty and lifestyle and sort of like that vlogger type of content is so saturated. But I'm at a place now where it's not even for like the view. Like, you know, if only 30 people watch the video, I love the video. So, and as long as you're operating in purpose, and as long as you're operating in truth and operating in exactly what it is, 9 times out of 10, the things that you are attracted to, the things that you feel most comfortable in, are the things that you've been called to do. I love documenting, I love talking, I love utilizing, you know, beauty and self-care and lifestyle and vlogging, or whatever the case is, to help inspire other people. If it's a video of me cooking and I'm talking about my health journey, if it inspires you in some way, I've done my job. If it's a video about entrepreneurship and it's showing you my struggles and the day in my life of entrepreneurship, and it inspires you to just get up and try, I've done my job. If it's a video talking about, you know, dealing with my physical health and how I've struggled with my periods and how I've struggled with, you know, my hormones, you guys know I've dealt with that. And if I help somebody and encourage them to get up and go to the doctor because they feel the same way, I've done my job. I think that my gift that I was literally put on earth to do was literally to use my creativity to help people. And so if I do that, I've done my job. And if it's 30 people for that day, those 30 people needed to see it for some reason. So, like I said, if I'm operating in my gift, eventually all the goals that I have, you know, the measurable goals, the numeric goals, all those things will eventually get hit and happen. And I can only take that, you know, how far it's gonna go, and God can only take it how far it should go. So I'm not concerned or worried. A lot of times I do still feel insecure when it comes to creating content, but now I feel like, now I'm just busy. That's why the content don't be out here as often as it should be. I have so many ideas. I sit up at night just on my computer. I have pages and pages and pages of like documents of video ideas and outlines. Now I'm just busy trying to move my life. So the last 3 months have been the busiest 3 months of the entire year for me, and I say that with no hesitation, because girl, I'm tired right now, my body hurt. But yeah, so I'm excited for the channel. Definitely still lifestyle beauty stuff, but I'm gonna also like be sharing what the core of this channel started on, which was entrepreneurship, more behind the scenes teaching of it. So you guys don't know this, but I got my degree in, well, you probably do. I got my degree in mass communications, and I over time have worked several jobs in the field of social media marketing and content, and being a social media manager. It started out with internships. I had an internship for 3 years, then switched over. Right after I graduated, I was working for a fashion designer. Don't know if y'all knew that. That lasted for a couple months. Then I got my corporate job, and that ended up turning into like a market research, social media manager. I was a content creator for the business, or for the company. I also worked with logistics and support. I also worked with, like I said, market research and analytics. So I did a lot of different stuff in that job. And over those 2.5 years, I learned so much. And I started to recognize that I didn't want to do this work for these big corporations, because a lot of times I was very much so underrated. I was overlooked. I would do assignments and they just wouldn't acknowledge it at all. And so that affected me a lot too, because I wasn't being acknowledged for the thing I thought I was good at. So I quickly began to think that I was not good at it. I was allowing somebody else's opinions to validate what I was actually good at and knew. And then it quickly became like I was investing in all of these programs and coaches and things like that. And I was like, nobody talks specific, like everybody is like, you know, big mainstream line coach, right? And I was like, where are the people that are gonna talk to me specific? And I only ended up running into like 2 or 3 coaches. Cause I mean, a coach gotta invest in a coach. A business mentor gotta invest in a business mentor. A consultant strategist gotta invest in a consultant strategist. And it's just the reality. We all have to kind of pretty much keep investing in each other for this thing to keep going. And that's just the reality. Kill the messenger, I mean, whatever, I don't care. And so I was investing in all these people, and I really started investing in coaches before I started my business, like in 2018, I think is when I got my first coach per se. The first problem I had was, why can't they talk to me specific? Why do I feel like it's just like a monologue and you're reading off a sheet that you talk to everybody with? Like, I want you to just give me regular dialogue. Like, just help me regular. I really missed that. I wanted that. I work well off that. I was like, where's that personal connection? And then I got into the skincare and beauty industry, niche, however you want to say it. And I started working with coaches that claim to like be for e-commerce businesses. And I was like, why don't y'all have nothing specific for me? I was being very selfish, but I mean, like, you should be selfish about learning and growing for your business. It's the truth. And so I was like, there's nothing specific. And I was like, okay, I've learned so much, and I literally possess so much knowledge when it comes to social media marketing and setting up, you know, new businesses so that they can be profitable. I was very proud that I was able to get to consistent, you know, 4-figure sales monthly and even like 4-figure sales bi-weekly. That was one of my biggest goals, and because I accomplished that, that taught me so much, and then I just learned so much. I took courses. I've been taking courses over the past like eight or so months through different programs and things of that nature. And I was like, now, all these courses are very much so generic. How do we make this very much so niche specific? And so I wanted to continue to hold on to the legacy of everything and keep the Luxe Boss Media Luxe Boss Media Co, so that I could do just that. And with the Luxe Boss Media Co, it's just me helping new businesses within the beauty and skincare, healthcare niche, or self-care niche rather, really be specific about their social media marketing and branding to help create that profitable business. I don't want you to have to rely on me for 20 years, because I can't say that I'll be here for 20 years, you know, helping you, but I want you to be able to learn the basics of what you need for your brand specifically, for your marketing specifically, for social media specifically, for your business. Take it and run with it. You should only be able to take the core concepts and take the core things that you need to learn and run with it and only expand off of that. So that's my goal. And it's just to help as many people as possible and create as much content as possible to help people and be affordable. I mean, it's nothing wrong with charging your worth for your knowledge, because a lot of people possess a lot of knowledge. There are coaches right now where if I could afford it, I would pay the money, because you could just tell. But I also want to be that affordable option, especially if you're a new business, if you're a new platform, or if you're a platform that's kind of like in the middle and you're still at the point of growth. I'm to help people. I want to help people get in their bag and really create these profitable brands. The reality of it is only 20% of these brands actually survive after the 5-year mark. So there's room for everybody. And I want people to be able to learn everything they need to know to get to the 5 years and beyond. I have some stuff coming out at the beginning of the year for the Luxe Boss Media. Y'all know it's takeoff season, so you can only imagine what I got planned. But I'm very excited about the Luxe Boss Media Co, because it's just my baby, and it's pretty much everything that I would have ever wanted someone to help me with in a nutshell in a business. And I want to just be that go-to affordable consultant strategist to help beauty brands in general. So that's that. And then of course, I'm on the journey to becoming a full-time content creator and influencer. I love to share stuff, literally want to share content in general, tips, lifestyle. Like, I love to share stuff. So the journey to becoming a full-time content creator is kind of like full circle, because this is like 5th grade Taylor. This was my dream in 5th grade, and it has always stuck with me, and I just never thought that I would even get to a place to feel comfortable to say that. So being a full-time content creator and influencer has always been a dream, and I am pursuing it 110% this year. And I'm very excited about it. So overall, and then of course 7 Skin opens back up on my birthday. We are kind of rebranding and relaunching the business, and then the wholesale business, which is Butter, which is 7 Skin's sister company, I'm excited about. I'm excited to make this business a little bit more universal, in the sense that it's literally for women just like me. Like, the girls who love all the girly things and who love all the self-care and all the femininity behind taking care of themselves. Like, I don't know why people get shamed for that, but that's another topic for another day. People get shamed for being like super into self-care and into skincare, and like, I don't know why it's a thing, but it is. And I just want everyone to feel comfortable, women just like me who are still on the journey trying to find themselves and figure out who they are and determine who they are in life and on their walk in life, but still who love all the things related to like being a girl and being a woman and being that woman. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with wanting to step out every single day and look like $1,000,000. Like, it's nothing wrong with stepping out every single day and just being, you know, toned down. But regardless, I want you to take care of yourself. And that's what 7 Skin is. We are whipping up good stuff. Y'all know I'm sticking with the theme. We in the kitchen. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I feel like that was enough of a life update today. I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.